Welcome, everyone. Today I am going to talk about facing our glamours. I will talk about the 3 intentions of Christ as he prepares for his reappearance, and focus especially on the first one, dissipating glamours, because our glamours rule our life and have us behave in ways that we are not always happy with. We will conclude with a beautiful prayer, and I think you are going to enjoy this lecture. When we are on the spiritual path, we become hypersensitive to world problems and world sufferings. That's natural. But then we feel overwhelmed with the traumas of life. If we look at the wars going on right now in Europe, in the Middle East, the hunger, the devastation, people are suffering. Animals and wildlife and nature is suffering. We get overwhelmed. We see the wrongs and sense the enormity of the problem, don't we? And our limited capacity to solve any of the problems. This is natural, it happens to us because we are sensitive. But at the meantime, we need to learn how to take a stand. We do not want to diminish our sensitivity, yet learn how to take a stand. That's number 1. Second, we need to attract the beneficial forces of the universe to support us and our efforts. Okay? And third, realistically assess our part in the healing of our planet and humanity. Realistically. Disciples learn to focus on what they can do so that they can be part of the solution. If we feel that the entire wrongs have to be righted by us, it will be impossible for us not to feel depressed and sad and overwhelmed and give up. And constantly repeating what is wrong with the world is depressing. Don't you find that? It's depressing. We know we can't individually feed and house and clothe and support all the suffering people. We individually cannot solve the planet's problems. However, by understanding our role in human and planetary upliftment, we will be able to do our part and allow those who have the expertise, the positions, and the resources to address larger problems. So it's going to take a level of maturity on our part that will empower us to do our part and not give up, but also see the big picture and be patient and say, this too will resolve itself. It is important that we do our part that is consistent with our spiritual practice. What spiritual practice does is create the physical, emotional, and mental momentum around us. And this directly energizes those who do the larger world work. Don't underestimate your power in your meditation and prayers. The power of the group to meditate and pray and send good thoughts. Don't underestimate that. That directly energizes those who do the larger work. We offer that power, that surge of energy that people in all these fields need so they don't give up. Coupled with your own personal support to people and organizations, we spiritually dedicated people all over the world will have an impact. Change starts from the subtle worlds. Okay, keep that in your mind. Change starts from the subtle worlds. When that momentum, that energy shifts through our prayers and our thoughts and our feelings and our visualizations, then all the levels of life will pick that up. It'll filter down to the physical level. We can't change things from the bottom up. We have to start with the subtle worlds and energize that great thought forms, peace and love and generosity. And then with that, the workers will have the energy and the power to make a difference. The Ageless Wisdom tells us that Christ will reappear and stay with humanity for 2,500 years. He promised that during the darkest period of the world, during World War II. Do you remember reading about that when the Great Invocation was given in the 30s, and then another stanza, and then another stanza in the 40s? He said, "This will enable me to come back." Why? Because millions of people in the world will start evoking and invoking light, love, and power. And with that, the energy pattern of the world started shifting, and he said, I can come back. It's really interesting that when we read Tibetan masters' teachings about the reappearance of Christ, he said there was a time in the late 30s when the hierarchy decided to pack up and leave the planet because it was so dark, and darkness and evil had taken over. But because of the momentum of spiritually minded people, people of goodwill, people who love freedom, because of their energy and power, it shifted. And we see that shift happening in 40, 41, 42, right? So look at that history of that very essential period. So it's important for us to put that in perspective and see how that evil was removed and peace was restored, brotherhood was restored. In the higher worlds, souls are working to inspire all life forms to adopt life choices that will open humanity to the intentions of Christ. I love that. Okay, shall I repeat that? Okay. In the higher worlds, souls, us even in our sleep and meditation and prayer periods, souls are working to inspire all life forms to adopt life choices that will open humanity to the intentions of Christ. We, disciples, people of goodwill everywhere, humanitarians and environmentalists, people in all fields of human endeavor who cherish life and want to do our best to have a good life, we need to do our part, starting with the most basic. Okay. Christ had 3 intentions that is discussed in the introduction chapter of the book Teachings of Christ, Volume 1. I will read each intention and discuss it more deeply so we can really understand it and be inspired by it and take it in. And we have to think, what does this mean to us, and how we can actualize this part of the teaching and ensure that these ideals are not lost but broadcast everywhere. First intention is this, which I will spend a lot of time on in this lecture. First intention is to destroy the glamours accumulated in the sphere of the earth and allow more light to penetrate to this planet. Okay? Let's look at glamour. What is it? We all have glamours. It is an emotional attachment to a belief, to a way of doing things that ties us to old lifetimes, old family cultures, our own culture, our own life patterns, and prevents us from the expression of our human soul. They are beliefs that this is the way we do things, that prevent us from adapting to the new reality. It is an attitude about life. We all have attitudes about life, about our parents, what they did and didn't do, about our cultures, at our place in it that is hidden deep inside of us. And it makes us see ourselves through that prism. Based on our life experience, we develop coping mechanisms, opinions, and attitude that develops in us Glamors, or false narratives. We develop a self-identity and a false narrative about our relationship to life. And we could see that in the way we talk to ourselves when we're having a hard time. Oh, that's the way it is. Oh, it's not going to work. We see that. We fall right into the glamour. See? So glamours are expressed in a number of ways. And the most visible is the desire to dominate. It could be the desire to dominate anything. When we have this glamour, we express it in a number of ways. We feel we need to be in control. We try to dominate conversations. We try to seek attention in some form. We have strong, intractable opinions about anything, and we force it. We always have a solution for everything. Always we have an opinion about everything, and then we feel hurt when nobody applauds us and praises us and admires us. Our behavior is always trying to get attention. We all have this to some degree. Or there's the opposite. There is that passive-aggressive way that we try to dominate. So look at that too. People want to dominate also by being hurt and touchy and oversensitive. Oh, my feelings are hurt. In the spiritual religious world, this glamour appeals in a person who is seeking total holiness. They want to be totally vegetarians, God forbid, if they looked at something that wasn't vegetarian. Hell breaks loose. Do you see that? It's an attitude of total holiness, total perfection, totally versed in the topics of the teaching, and as soon as you open your mouth, they know all about the rays, all about the zodiacal signs, all about what God said and Jesus said. They act like there is no tolerance for human frailty. No, you've got to meditate every day. They can't be wrong or embarrassed. There's no human tolerance. Do you see that in us sometimes? That's a glamour. Whenever we feel like we have that desire to dominate, it is so strong all over the world that individuals, groups, and nations have it. And it forces people to show off and always be attention-seeking, to be the center of attention. Look for this glamour in both loud bravado, as well as when people are quick to take offense. They're so touchy and self-absorbed that they feel hurt at the slightest thing. In Challenge for Discipleship, chapter 19, there's a long list of glamours we can all fall into. Nobody is exempt until we become human souls and we have the petals of the truth open and light comes through those petals and we see the truth. When that comes, that first king is already visiting us. We'll talk about kings later. For example, the desire to control totally, the desire to destroy, to separate. We see this in nations, we see it in groups. Desire to criticize others, or the desire to be praised constantly. We feel special. We want to be seen as great, smart, cultured, great family, beautiful, beyond anything. So this is a huge desire. The key is this. Glamours tie us to immature, self-absorbed behavior and old beliefs that could have been formed when we were children. We didn't know any better. Could have been formed as a result of listening to our parents and mimicking them, or our culture, our religion, our church, whatever it is. We made that into who we are. And these glamours tie us to the three lower centers that puff out and dominate our life. This is so important to realize, and I'm going to talk about those three centers. When these three centers get extra power, our higher centers are shrunk because no power, no energy goes to them. Okay? That's why this is important for disciples and spiritually minded people who want to improve their life, is to take a look at that dominant, emotional expression that we have in our life because it takes over. What are the 3 centers that get too much energy and puff out? The first one is base of spine center. Its function is to regulate and control the adrenal glands, the function of the kidneys, and our ability to deal with stress with quick response to life. But its other function is to transmit fire into the bodies, keeping the physical, emotional, and mental bodies in order and in balance. When we have glamors, glamour to control, to force, to seek attention, remember those, all of them, and however way we do it, that center is pressured and inflamed, and we feel that pressure, don't we? It's inflamed, and we either have too much fire or not enough going to the adrenal glands. That fight or flight experience is constantly going back and forth, and we are in imbalance. This is how we see fanaticism, insensitivity, totalitarian control, aggressiveness come out in people. They have too much of the base of spine center inflamed. And we see this through social media, constant, stuck to our phones and our computers and radios, that we are constantly kept in states of agitation. Fighting, retreating, constant agitation, and it becomes addictive because we don't know any other. We think that if we stop and slow down and don't look at the news, something is wrong. So we are addicted to it, and because of addiction, what happens? That fire is not going to our mind, and we're not thinking. It's being dissipated through addiction, okay? We don't want that. The second center that's inflamed is the sacral center. Sacral center, its normal function is to attract, to have sex and love, the energy to build families, communities, the energy to bring us together and love one another. But when we have glamors, it puts excess pressure on the sex center, and people focus on sex, pleasing others, being attractive beyond the normal human function. Look at the sexually transmitted diseases and all the pretentious ways that beautiful teenagers have in order to be attractive. All of the problems that young people have is because of the sacral center being puffed out, and they think that they have to dress a certain way, they have to talk a certain way, they have this pretentiousness pushed on them, and it removes their true being, who they are. Also, we fall into that, women fall into that, men fall into that. It's a false narrative on what it is to be attractive, to be beautiful, to be loved, okay? And that's in all cultures. When the sex center is inflamed, our throat center, which is the center of creativity, doesn't get enough energy. And it's starved. The third center that gets inflamed with glamors is the solar plexus center. Solar plexus is made up of two overlapping triangles. One is pointed up and one is pointed down. This center controls the digestive and assimilation system. Its power is huge and essential. That lower center, when our digestive system and assimilation system is not working, we can't have robust health, right? It has to be working properly. The upper triangle is the center that links our emotions to the higher emotional expressions. So eventually changing our whole focus to the higher worlds. Glamors inflame the center, the desire to dominate, to be perfect, to be accepted, to be loved, to be listened to. It inflames the center and creates addictions. When we are addicted to food and drugs and alcohol as well as malice and hatred and Semitism and wars and bigotry. It means that the solar plexus center is inflamed. And with these kinds of addictions, whether it's physical, material addictions, or addictions to a certain behavior, or addiction to a certain way of thinking, okay, a religious expression, when we're addicted to that, then the higher centers cannot operate. We see that many, many people in the spiritual fields are addicted to fortune tellers, horoscope tellers, psychic readers. Give their power away to lower psychism. Please, don't do that. Your wisdom is immense, and the wisdom in your soul is immense for you to reach the answers that you want. Individuals with glamours cause lots of pain in groups and families and churches. And they coalesce with others and groups and nations. And we have large groupings of people with glamours. Look at the wars being fought. What is it but a glamour that's taken over? You see how you can find examples everywhere. Everywhere we see this. Now, why is this important regarding to the intention of Christ, which is to remove glamour? For Christ to succeed in removing the veil of glamours and let truth of the higher worlds to penetrate, we need to do our part. No one can remove your glamour or my glamour. We have to do it. Nobody can tell us, you're addicted to this, or you're addicted to that, or you're doing this. We will get really upset when somebody does that to us. It's better we find them, see them, remove them, and be honest with ourselves. So we committed disciples who want a true rhythm in our lives, we need to remove our glamours by our own enlightened ways. For this to happen, we need to search for the truth in us. The truth, guided by our solar angel. Our solar angel is always saying, look at the truth, and listening, adjusting, changing, growing, evolving, until our soul emerges and our glamours are gone. And we'll see that our focus will shift. It'll shift. So start simply. I'd like us all throughout the coming year, to focus on removing a tiny bit of glamour from our life. When a tiny bit of glamour is removed, there is tremendous release. I experienced this in my life. I was holding a grudge towards someone, and at Christmas Eve, I decided to remove it. And my life just got calmer. I could feel the calmness. I thought, how and why was I feeding that constantly? Glamours need to be fed. And we constantly re-narrate our life, our sorrows, our pains. We re-narrate it to ignite that glamour. And look what we're doing. We're putting energy and power in the lower centers and not having the higher centers, our heart, our throat, our head, our soul, to get that power. So one little thing will unravel many, many truths in us. So don't underestimate the power of one tiny little glamour, one tiny little pain that you're holding. Start simply to create a time and space in you to heal, to hear your solar angel's guidance. In your prayers, meditations, and worship times, you can have an intentional period during which truth and reality is revealed to you. In that quiet moment of meditation before communion and preparing for that preparation for communion, I realized that that thought, that little glamour had to go. And when it went, it released. It was amazing. It is interesting that all religious and spiritual traditions have some prescribed dress codes and ways of behavior that help us have that intentionality in our period of prayer and meditation. I'm just going to start with that. All of us here have periods of meditation, quiet prayer, worship. We all have that at least once a week, maybe every day. So you make that an intentional period. And look, all these religious practices have some kind of a head covering, right? A shawl that you wear. You have clean, beautiful clothes. You wash. You don't speak too loud or noisy. You have quiet music. You don't wear perfumes. Your shoes are clean, and sometimes you remove them when you enter a place of worship. You wear special robes and so on. So what this tells me when I looked at this is we prepare physically first to enter into that quiet communion with our solar angel to guide us out of our glamours. Don't underestimate that. As soon as you shower and put on something beautiful, you feel different. So do that intentionality. So start with a deliberate attention to the outer garments, cleanliness, grooming, and then take it to the next step. We have here in the beautiful TSG Center a beautiful place, a sacred space that was specifically designed to create that intentionality in us and the beauty and the broadness of the higher worlds. But do you know that that same intention exists in all the sacred spaces? Churches, cathedrals, places of worship, all are built on some kind of a philosophy of being able to take us into an inner space. All of them. The architecture, the art, the beauty, the finish, the windows, the colors are all intended to put us into a space of reality and out of glamours. So I invite you, when you come into the sacred space, once a week, to silence yourself, starting from the parking lot. Silence yourself as you go through the bridge. Leave something behind. So make it a ritual, slowly leaving that glamour behind. Enter and sit quietly. Pray and meditate. And sanctify your space. Detach from phones and computers and noises. Let it all stay outside. And be solemn. We all grew up where we learned when we go to a place of worship, we act solemn. We don't make loud noises. It's not a place to talk and visit and check emails. It's a place to prepare your communication with truth. A glamour is not removed all at once. It's removed layer by layer, and each layer that's tied to other strings will start getting undone one by one. So that's the physical preparedness, whether you are coming to a special service here or you are preparing to sit in meditation once every week, 3 times every day, whatever it is. Even if you don't do a deep dive meditation, every day if we practice just sitting quietly and creating that space and say, Solar Angel, speak to me now or today. Speak to me and tell me how I'm going to remove the next glamour in my life. Second, we are going to pay attention to our emotional body and emotional focus. Have you ever caught yourself saying the Great Invocation or any other mantra where your mind is somewhere else? I think so. So when you pay attention to your emotional focus, calm yourself through your intentional prayers. Sacred songs and sacred music is sung for that reason, to put us in that quiet mode of reflection. Mantras, ohms are all designed to calm the 3 lower centers and open our higher centers to the solar angel. In places of worship, places of your meditation in your home, there should never be loud noises, loud singing, media on the screen. Make it your sanctuary. Our normal, customary vibrations need to be taken aside. So again, you can start distancing yourself from the habits of the Glamors, because they stick to us. If we do not strive to change our focus, our rhythm, shift ourselves out of our Glamors, we cannot create a steady, robust, harmonious inner rhythm. We can't steadily advance. We will take rapid hops in an advancement and go back, forward and back. So steady advance is the key, okay? We will be calm, and then we're aggressive. We're loving, and then we take power-hungry actions. We're giving, and then we get touchy and anxious. So we are going to watch that emotional body and the Glamors and how they work through us, how they make us expect certain things. We're going to calm them down. And the way we do that, again, take that step, whether it's at home or your sanctuary. Take that initial, intentional step to leave it all outside and say, what a beauty. Now let's go in my beauty. Let me have my solar angel speak to me. And your solar angel will speak to you because it has been with you for 18 million years. That's a long time. What a dedicated being our solar angel is, dedicated to our birth. And what is really beautiful, when that solar angel really starts speaking to us, we take birth and we go higher. Other angels are attracted to us. We'll talk more about that at another time. Keep that in the side of your mind. So removing Glamors also entails our mental body. Our mind has to find a way to focus on higher ideals. So on any given day, we can read the news. There's nothing nice on the news. There's always something to get us all upset. So make a mental time that you will focus on higher ideals. Again, that could be your time of meditation and prayer. It could be your reading time where you just read wonderful, beautiful literature, beautiful poetry. Look at beautiful photographs and paintings and images of the world. Beautiful movies, right? That will lift your mind. So Glamors make us focus on the subconscious mind. If you have studied the lower states of the subconscious mind, the lower 7, 6, and 5 levels, they are called the subconscious mind, full of survival energies, confused messages, irritations, and illusions, and glamour, and ego is all full in the bottom part of our mind. But if we can move ourselves to the higher mind, slowly we dissipate that. As long as we are there in the lower mind, we can't be logical. We can't be stable. We can't be creative and peaceful and find solutions. So it's the higher mind, the logical mind, the levels 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 that will take us to a stable, logical, creative, peaceful, solution-oriented thinking. If we stay in survival mode, the creative part of us, the soul part of us, cannot be activated. All our attention, all our energy is drawn downwards. Our media, our mundane culture, keeps us trapped in our 3 lower centers. The message of Christ cannot reach us and cannot reach humanity. if we stay focused in the 3 lower centers in trauma. Through our daily, weekly spiritual practices, we can slowly remove glamours. You can do it, I can do it, we can do it. Quiet ourselves, and just take that minute now. Just quiet yourself and quiet the noise. Put yourself in a sense of beauty. See yourself in the most beautiful place that you can find, whether it's outdoors or indoors. Surround yourself with colors, beautiful sounds, and see yourself in truth. See yourself in truth. And say something to your soul. To the solar angels, say something. Take a deep breath and open your eyes and consider that as we destroy our individual glamours, then our family glamours will be removed, our group glamours will be removed, our national glamours will be removed, and the reality of the higher worlds of the message of Christ can penetrate. See, glamours create a cloud that focuses humanity and us in the lower strata of life. Let's look at the second intention of Christ. The second intention of Christ is to transmit the ray of compassion so that humanity can forgive, unite, and grow and create conditions in which all of life can survive. How to put this ray of love, compassion into our life and stop our passive-aggressive communications and relations. Start with love, compassion in your personal, family, and group life. As you focus your spiritual practice at homes, in this sanctuary, in garden, wherever you are, your soul will guide you. Your soul will tell you where and to whom to apply love and compassion. You can just quietly sit in that period and say, Lord, to whom do I need to apply love and compassion today? Let's see if we do that for weeks and months and see what happens. Whom do I need to support? Who needs my help today? And you will know how to use this gift of Christ when it comes to you. Because you are unique in your life and in your world, and you have unique people around you who will need that love, compassion. For whom to pray and to forgive and to let go, ask that and see what the answer is. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. When I ask that, immediately the need comes up. Immediately. And I say, wow, I didn't think about that. If you put the noise aside, the love and compassion of Christ will come. Because if we don't have love, compassion in the world, we will always have some body or person or group that we will identify as enemies. And when we identify people as enemies, we dehumanize them, and therefore we give ourselves the permission to act in unloving ways. See, that's what happens. Okay, that's two. Are you ready for the third intention of Christ? I love this. The third intention of Christ is to empower us to strive continuously. He said he overcame the world. So can you. Strive continuously and never give up. Be fearless. Teach the next generation and improve ourselves. And don't let anything get you down for too long. We all get down. That's human. The glamour pulls us down because it is a pattern we've learned through lifetimes. That spirit of the earth pulls us down. So we have to fight against it so we become higher worlds and souls. If we keep striving, the needed guidance will come and we will hear it. Keep this in your mind. The needed guidance will come and we will create a physical, emotional, and mental space in our life to hear the guidance of our souls. So this year, coming year, let's upgrade ourselves. We can all be part of this great message of Christ, which was the first one, remove and dissipate glamours. The second one, expand our love compassion. The third one, strive continuously. He said, greater things you will do. Wow, that's a promise. During the coming months, we will focus on the teachings of Christ, so prepare yourself to hear that message. Upgrade yourself, invest in yourself, so we together can remove the glamours and respond to Christ. I think we can do those three things. And how big or how small doesn't matter. Even if it's one tiny forgiveness, it will help unravel lots of thorns in our life. One tiny. See yourself as a soul that already removes the lower center's focus. See yourself being guided by your solar angel, and you will know that you are always under the watchful eye of some being who sees the face of Christ and God every day. Wow. I love to think about these things because our proclivity when we succumb to the glamours and lower centers is not to give ourselves any credit or any power. In fact, we work really hard to disempower ourselves. We're good at it. So coming up, we are going to be good at empowering ourselves, okay? Is that a promise from everyone? Yeah. We're going to work at empowering ourselves by the power first of our solar angel. And as the solar angel has a better grip on us and we hear it, our human soul will build and build and build. Okay. Let's close with this beautiful prayer. Almighty presence behind the sun, and you'll repeat after me. I love this prayer, and it is from Sunrise Worship from the book Transformation, chapter 7. It's beautiful. Okay, close your eyes, sit up straight. Just take a moment to fill yourself with peace. Focus in your heart and your head. See a beautiful aura around you. Beautiful colors. And imagine your solar angel in any form that you can imagine, sitting at a distance and just watching you. And repeat after me. Nice and full voices. I call upon thee. I call upon thee, O living God. Radiant and illuminating fire. O unseen parent of the sun. Pour forth thy light-giving power. And energize thy divine spark. Now see yourself full of light, full of energy. Enter into this flame and let it be activated with the breath of thy Holy Spirit. Manifest thy power and open for me the temple of Almighty God, which is within this fire. Manifest thy light for my regeneration, and let the breath, fullness, height, and crown of the solar radiance appear. And may God within shine forth. Oh.